Most people focus on what they need to be doing right. But what if you should be thinking about what you're doing wrong? It might be that those are the choices that are really keeping us from reaching our potential. If that's true, then the best thing we can do is not to make the right choices. It's to avoid the wrong ones. Bad choices don't wear neon signs screaming, "Don't do this," to warn us off. They attract us with the seductive allure of instant gratification or the swell of pride. They whisper, they catch us off guard. Think about anger, that searing feeling of righteous indignation. It feels powerful, doesn't it? Like you're finally standing up for yourself, taking control. But are you? You have to be careful if the legacy of your anger is broken relationships and regrets. And then there's fear. It can paralyze you or confine you to a cage of anxiety. You tell yourself you're being careful, being responsible. But sometimes you're really running away before you try, surrendering to the what-ifs, to the shadows that dance in your mind. And what about grief? That crushing weight, the feeling of suffocating emptiness. Sadness can be the price we pay for experience, in moderation. But grief, untamed, becomes a monument to what's lost, a prison made up of our memories. It holds you captive to the past, preventing you from seeing opportunities in the present. The worst grief is a self-inflicted wound, constantly reopened, never healing. And then there's desire, which can become the insatiable hunger for more. More wealth, more recognition, more pleasure. It promises happiness, swears this time we'll be satisfied. But it's a mirage, a shimmering illusion that always stays just out of reach. We chase it, driven by a belief that, if only I had. But the if only never ends. The more we get, the more we crave. The hole inside us only grows larger because the happiness we seek isn't out there in the material world. It's inside us. These emotions, in their twisted forms, are traps. They are traps we set for ourselves again and again, often without realizing it. They are the wrong choices masquerading as right choices. They promise comfort, security, and satisfaction, but they deliver the opposite: pain, disappointment, and regret. Many of these traps stem from our attachments. If we're not watchful, our attachments can weigh us down. From the moment we're born, we form attachments. We're attached to our parents, to comfort, to security. As we grow, those attachments broaden to include our possessions, our reputations, our relationships. We start to think of our attachments as us. We build our identities around these external anchors, convinced that they are the building blocks of our happiness. But what if that conviction is flawed? What if these attachments, the things we cling to so tightly, are the very things that are causing us to suffer? Think about how much anxiety stems from the fear of losing something we value. The gnawing worry about your investments tanking. The constant need to maintain our social standing. The fear of losing status. These aren't just fleeting moments of sadness. They are pervasive sources of stress that permeate our daily lives. These stresses aren't inherent to the good things in life. They arise from our attachment to them. We've mistakenly placed our sense of worth and well-being in these outside things, giving them the power to dictate our emotional state. We allow them to become the conditions for our happiness, and when those conditions are threatened, we suffer. Consider wealth. We chase it, we crave it, we believe it will bring us freedom and security. But the more we accumulate, the more we fear losing it. The anxieties of protecting it, of increasing it, often outweigh its real-life benefits. We become slaves to accumulation, trading our time and peace of mind for the illusion of control. Fame and reputation are no different. We crave the validation of others, seeking recognition for our appearance and our opinions. But this constant need for approval leaves us vulnerable. We act like puppets dancing to the tune played by random people, afraid to deviate from what others expect of us. Our happiness becomes contingent upon the approval of others, a very scary foundation to build your life on. And even the attachment to loved ones, arguably the most natural and deeply ingrained of all attachments, can be a source of pain. We have to be honest with ourselves. We don't control the lives of other people, or how long they get on this planet. The fear of losing them can prevent us from truly appreciating the present moment. We cling to relationships out of fear of being alone, even when those relationships are detrimental to our well-being. The Stoic philosopher Epictetus spoke wisely on this very topic. He once said, "Remember that you must behave in life as you would at a dinner party. Is anything being brought around to you? Put out your hand and take your share with moderation. Does it pass by you? Don't stop it. Is it not here yet? Don't stretch your desire towards it, but wait till it reaches you." The problem isn't that the things we want are inherently bad. It's that we allow them to define us. We conflate our worth with our possessions, our status, and our relationships. We mistake external success for internal happiness. And in doing so, we hand over the keys to our well-being to forces beyond our control. The key is to understand that these externals are not the source of your happiness. You are. You have the power to control how you respond to the world around you, regardless of your circumstances. As we examine our attachments, we also have to consider how we can be misled by what appears to be good, but isn't beneficial. Millions of us are out there chasing the shiny object, the quick fix, the instant gratification. We're bombarded with messages telling us what we should want, what we should buy, what we should be doing to be happy and successful. We carefully plan our next steps, striving for that promotion, that perfect relationship or feeling of validation. The Stoics believed this was not the way. They said that true good lies in virtue, wisdom, justice, courage, and temperance, and true evil in vice, the absence of those virtues. But let's be honest, most of us aren't thinking in terms of virtue and vice when we make our daily decisions. We're thinking in terms of pleasure and pain, comfort and discomfort, immediate reward and delayed gratification. And that's where we make our mistake. We tell ourselves that buying that expensive item will make us happy, even though we know deep down it's just a fleeting thrill that will leave us feeling emptier in the long run. We justify gossiping about a colleague, even though it erodes our integrity and poisons our relationships. We procrastinate on important tasks because facing the challenge feels uncomfortable, even though we know it will only lead to more stress and anxiety later on. These seemingly small choices, the gossiping, the procrastinating, the impulsive spending, are the seeds of our undoing. They're the termites gnawing away at the foundation of our character. We're so busy obsessing over the perfect paint color for the walls that we fail to notice the crumbling foundation underneath. The problem isn't necessarily that we're actively choosing evil in the dramatic mustache-twirling sense. It's that We're choosing perceived goods that are actually detriments in disguise. We're mistaking pleasure for happiness, comfort for strength, and instant gratification for lasting fulfillment. We're falling for the false promises that society, people with things to sell, and our own desires whisper in our ears. So, how do we break free from this cycle? How do we start identifying and avoiding those self-sabotaging choices? It starts with awareness. We need to consciously question our motivations. Why do we want this? What are the potential consequences, not just in the short term, but in the long run? Are we acting in alignment with our values, with the kind of person we aspire to be? It requires a dose of self-honesty, a willingness to admit when we're falling for the trap of instant gratification or seeking external validation. It means learning to distinguish between genuine needs and fleeting desires. It means cultivating the discipline to resist the siren call of pleasure and embrace the discomfort that accompanies growth. It means accepting that sometimes the best choice is the hardest choice. Because ultimately, our greatest potential lies not in chasing after what we think we want, but in avoiding the very things that are holding us back. Beyond understanding our attachments and false goods, we must also recognize the limits of our control. As painful as it might be, it has to be done. You might be out there chasing success, hustling hard, doing all the right things the gurus preach. You could be meticulously planning, strategizing, and optimizing every aspect of your life, business, or project. And yet most people doing that feel a little stressed, a little burned out, and maybe frustrated because things aren't quite clicking the way they thought they would. We're often told to focus on what we can control, to be proactive, to take charge, to shape our own destiny. And that's valid to a point. But the truth is, a massive part of life is outside our control. We can't control the weather, the economy, or the opinions of others. We definitely can't control the past. Think about how much mental energy you spend trying to bend uncontrollable forces to your will, worrying about market fluctuations, obsessing over what people think of you, or replaying past mistakes in your mind. It's exhausting, isn't it? It's like trying to push a boulder uphill in a dream. You're putting out tremendous effort, but getting absolutely nowhere. That's because you're looking in the wrong place. In a sense, you're trying to control the uncontrollable. This misdirected effort, this futile struggle, is sucking your energy, clouding your judgment, and preventing you from focusing on the things that actually are within your sphere of influence. The wrong choice isn't failing to plan. It's over-planning and becoming paralyzed by analysis, unable to adapt to unforeseen circumstances. The wrong choice isn't lacking ambition. It's being so fixated on a specific outcome that you become blind to alternative paths and opportunities. The wrong choice isn't avoiding risk entirely. It's clinging to the illusion of absolute certainty, preventing yourself from taking calculated leaps that could propel you forward. So, what's the alternative? How do you avoid this trap of trying to control the uncontrollable? The answer lies in acceptance. Instead of passive resignation, choose active acceptance of the things you can't change. Embrace the uncertainty of life. Understand that setbacks are inevitable and that external events are rarely perfectly aligned with your desires. This acceptance doesn't mean you give up. It means you channel your energy more effectively. Instead of fighting against the current, you learn to navigate it. Instead of trying to predict the future with perfect accuracy, you develop resilience and adaptability. Through this, the game changes. You focus less on forcing your will upon the world and more on cultivating inner peace and equanimity. You become less reactive to external events and more responsive to the opportunities they present. You spend less time worrying and more time acting. So, taking all of this into account, let's reconsider our approach to choice. We're bombarded with advice about success. From gurus touting the power of positive thinking to self-help books outlining intricate strategies, the narrative is almost always focused on doing the right things. Wake up early, network relentlessly, optimize your diet, learn a new skill. The to-do list stretches endlessly before us, an arduous trail to the right path. But there may be a faster way. How much energy do you expend course-correcting after a bad decision? How much time is lost untangling the consequences of impulsive choices or short-sighted actions? We're often so busy striving for the right move that we fail to recognize the potential pitfalls looming ahead. We're so fixated on adding the perfect brick to our metaphorical castle that we neglect to reinforce the foundation. What we need is a shift in perspective. Instead of blindly pursuing every gleaming opportunity, we need to cultivate a discerning eye, one that can identify the deceptively attractive paths that lead to dead ends, setbacks, and ultimately, unrealized potential. What are the recurring patterns in your life? What are the behaviors that consistently lead to regret? These are the areas where focusing on avoiding the wrong choice can yield the most significant results. Think about a family meal where everyone's distracted by their phones. The parents tell themselves they're just quickly checking work emails or responding to important messages. The kids are gaming or scrolling social media, believing they're staying connected with friends or just unwinding. But in this moment, what's truly being lost is the genuine connection between family members, the opportunity for meaningful conversation, and the creation of lasting memories. The wrong choice here isn't using technology itself, but allowing it to steal precious time together that can never be recovered. A simple decision to put devices away during dinner might seem small, but avoiding this wrong choice creates space for something far more valuable than whatever was on those screens. Sometimes, the most important improvements in our lives come not from adding new activities, but from eliminating the distractions that prevent us from appreciating what we already have. The power lies in recognizing these potential pitfalls before they become reality. It's about identifying your personal kryptonite, those specific temptations, biases, and insecurities that lead you astray. This requires a level of self-awareness and honest introspection that many actively avoid. It's uncomfortable to confront our flaws, to acknowledge the destructive patterns we perpetuate, but it's precisely this discomfort that paves the way for growth. By focusing on avoiding the wrong choices, we're not advocating for paralysis or inaction. Rather, we're advocating for deliberate action, informed by a clear understanding of our vulnerabilities. It's about making conscious decisions, not simply reacting to external pressures. It's about cultivating a sense of responsibility and ownership over our actions, understanding that every choice, even the seemingly insignificant ones, can have far-reaching consequences. So, before you embark on your next ambitious goal or perfect opportunity, pause. Take a moment to consider the potential downsides, the unintended consequences, and the habits that might derail your best intentions. Sometimes, the most impactful decision we can make is not to do the right thing, but to consciously avoid the wrong one. Understanding the dangers of wrong choices is one thing. Implementing this wisdom in your everyday decisions is another challenge entirely. What we need is a practical framework, a mental model that helps us navigate the complexity of choices without falling into the common traps we've discussed. I call this the negative space decision framework. Just as artists sometimes focus on the negative space, the area around and between subjects, to create their compositions, we can focus on the choices we should avoid to reveal the path forward. The framework consists of 4 sequential questions to ask yourself when facing any significant decision. Begin by asking, what emotion is driving this decision? Is it fear, anger, desire, or grief? Or perhaps it's something more subtle, pride, envy, or the need for validation. When emotions hijack our decision-making process, they distort our perception. That promotion you're desperately chasing, is it aligned with your values, or are you seeking it to prove something to others? That argument you're about to initiate, is it truly about the principle, or is it wounded pride speaking? By naming the emotion, you create distance between yourself and the impulse. You transform from the emotion to the observer of that emotion, regaining your ability to choose rather than merely react. Next, ask yourself, what am I attached to in this situation that I believe is essential to my happiness? Is it an outcome, a possession, another person's approval, status, security? Your attachment creates the conditions for suffering, because it places your well-being in the hands of external factors you cannot fully control. This doesn't mean you shouldn't care about outcomes. It means recognizing that your worth and happiness aren't dependent on them. The parent who wants the best for their child, but understands that their child's choices are ultimately their own, demonstrates this distinction perfectly. Now challenge yourself. Am I mistaking a false good for a true one? Often, what feels right in the moment, the path of least resistance, the choice that promises immediate gratification, leads to long-term regret. The chocolate cake satisfies now, but creates guilt later. The shortcut in your work saves time today, but undermines quality and reputation tomorrow. True goods contribute to your character and long-term flourishing. They align with virtues like wisdom, courage, justice, and temperance. False goods provide fleeting pleasure at the expense of these deeper values. Finally, clarify. What aspects of this situation can I change? And what do I need to accept? Energy spent trying to control the uncontrollable is energy wasted. You can influence your actions, reactions, and some aspects of your immediate environment. Beyond that lies acceptance. This step helps you focus your efforts where they'll be most effective, preventing the frustration and anxiety that come from fighting reality itself. When applied consistently, this framework doesn't just help you avoid wrong choices. It gradually transforms how you perceive choices altogether. You begin to see opportunities where others see obstacles. You find peace amid uncertainty. You develop resilience in the face of setbacks. The beauty of this approach is its simplicity. You don't need specialized knowledge or skills. You simply need awareness and the commitment to pause before deciding. That pause, that small moment of reflection, creates a space for wisdom to emerge. So take the next step. Check what emotion is driving your choices. Watch when anger, fear, grief, and desire pull you off track. Be kind to yourself when you slip up, while noticing and celebrating your wins. You're no longer just reacting. You're pausing before deciding. You're asking the key questions. And bit by bit, you'll build the life you want while avoiding what holds you back. This is the Stoic way. Name your emotions. Let go of unhelpful attachments. Don't mistake the pleasurable for the good. Accept what you can't control and change what you can. For more on that, consider watching our earlier video. Stop worrying about everything else. Stoic techniques for focus. Ask one of these questions today when you're facing an important choice. Add another tomorrow and build your toolkit one piece at a time. These aren't just ideas from ancient books. They work right now in daily life. As Epictetus put it, it's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. Using your mind, you can do what is good and avoid what is bad. Start applying this today and make it real.